Hey, welcome back everyone to Ava Technology's YouTube show. I hope you're all doing really well. We are going to jump straight into it and talk about the latest news. We're going to spend 5 minutes on each segment, and I'm going to be on my timer just to make sure we keep it accurate, because there's a few topics that jumped out to me, and then we'll sort of touch on maybe a little bit where we're at for Ava Mind, what we're doing, and anything else we think may be worth sharing and talking about. So we just want to, the whole point of the show is just to keep you guys updated. Daily show, Monday to Friday, and we're going to be on YouTube, going to put it eventually on a podcast, just for you to tune in, keep abreast of what's happening in the news. And we are obviously working in the AI space, and just want to keep on top of it as well. So it's a way for us to just share, keep on top of what's happening. It's a fast-moving space, as you all know, and also for those who are just regular businesses trying to and people trying to get their heads around AI and what that future holds. So that's where we're at. It's not totally AI focused. We love technology in general, so we may occasionally, not today, but we may occasionally talk about crypto, talk about Bitcoin, talk about robotics or whatever. So but the general sort of focus is AI, and let's kick off, Will. Right, so the first news headline that jumped out of me, and I must admit I haven't done a huge amount of reading about it, but there was something in the New York Times writing about the rise of Silicon Valley's techno-religion. Lighthaven is a physical manifestation, and basically sounds like some sort of futuristic, crazy, modern AI techo community. I don't know much about it. What do you know about it, Will?
It
sounds very dystopian, doesn't it? It sounds very
again, Ben has picked out this one. I think that my main takeaway from reading it is that I just can't believe the age that we're living in, where things like AI, it feels just so sci-fi. We're in this world now where there are techno-religions popping up. People that are focusing on the intelligence and the future of humanity. It's all quite wish-wash. However, it does seem to have some notable people, going there and joining it and participating. So I don't know much else about it either, to be honest with you. The article is quite interesting. I'll scroll through it. Obviously, it's in downtown Berkeley in an old hotel, and then the New York Times is dubbing it as a temple for the pursuit of artificial intelligence and the future of humanity. It's got an equally weird name, Lighthaven, and it covers basically an entire city block. It's a gated complex, and it includes 5 small buildings, small park, to people to hang out into, and it's absolutely wild. They're dubbing it as a de facto headquarters of a small group who call themselves Rationalists. Again, as you read it, again, carrying on, this group has many interests involving mathematics, genetics, and philosophy. It's all very sci-fi, all very weird, all very wish-wash. I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting. As you sort of talk about it, it sounds a little bit like a members club, basically, where it's good for networking, good for creating opportunities, rubbing shoulders with people that you want to sort of connect with, and maybe have similar interests. So when you said I'm not sure if it started again, guys. We are doing these videos on the little bit of the fly, so we'll obviously get better, and we are literally just jumping on and talking about these things as we're seeing them. So we haven't spent hours reading it or doing any research. I think
it's fair to say that this is an opinion piece anyway. This video is all our opinion. Yes. And we are almost real-time reacting to a lot of it as well.
Yeah, very much so. So we're all busy doing our day job, so we are literally, that's a good way to put it actually. Well, it's just we're reacting as we see it, literally live. It does sound a little bit like a members club, and there's a few of these sort of clubs with people who have done really well and successful and exited and these things within the tech space. I think there was a chap, was it MySpace, who's invested in a little part of the world that we live in. His name escapes me, and he's got a little a members club in California. I can't remember what it's called, but
I think this article is quite wish-wash, again, as you read down it. Obviously, the Lighthaven, I mean, I think it sounds more like a cult than a members club.
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
You've got the group that call themselves the Rationalists. The Rationalists have been around for a long time, so it's unclear whether the people that go to Lighthaven call themselves Rationalists, or it's the Rationalists that have started Lighthaven. So it's unclear reading that. But this sort of rationalist point of view has been around a while in the AI space, back way before it became mainstream. And they believe in putting AI into the hands of people, as the article says, for a force to create a greater good. And they've been going around for a long time, and a lot of the viewpoints of a rationalist view on AI has seeped into many high profile people. And to be fair, it's not the worst philosophy in the world to have. Basically, it's about creating AI that's going to actually benefit humanity, because as we have spoken about a lot and at length on and off this podcast video, is that if AI has the potential to go wrong, and if it does, it can go quite wrong. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad philosophy to try and build it for the greater good of the people.
No, I completely agree. Mate, we've probably got about a minute left on the 5-minute timer, but I think we've sort of covered that topic pretty well.
I think to summarize, it's very weird.
It is weird, and it's all. I mentioned to you just before we went live. It slightly felt a bit like that film I saw. I couldn't remember it, but I looked it up. It's called Elysium, where they've got that Earth is a dystopian dumpster ground, basically. And for those who haven't seen the film, and then there's this like a space station heaven that's built in the orbit of Earth. And this where all the rich, the famous, and the beautiful live, and all the people who are on Earth are suffering. They want to try to escape to it. So it does sound very.
I think it just sounds really weird. I think we're getting to that point. You know that this is a tech boom when you're having things like this pop up around it. It just sounds so sci-fi. I mean, again, we would not be having these conversations go back 5 years, about something we're reading in the New York Times. I mean, that's how cult-like it's getting really within the AI world. And I'm not sure if that is necessarily a good thing. I know the people behind this are talking about building it for the greater good of humanity. But to finish my point and move on, but I'm not sure that this is necessarily the way to do it either.
Perfect. Right, moving on. Next story is...
Which one would you like to cover?
Monkey brains, please.
I know you find this really funny, but it has got some greater intent around it. And this is.
I'm sure it does. What's the headline? The headline is Chinese AI researchers just put a monkey's brain on a computer.
It's also a little bit about every day, isn't it? It's also a little bit clickbait.
Yeah, of course.
It's not quite a monkey's brain, literally. What this article is essentially talking about is something called neuromorphic computers and models that go around that. And this is a new type. This is a very, very, very frontier technology. I won't pretend to be an expert. I'm interested in this area, but I won't pretend to be an expert. However, this is so frontier that it's beyond what we do even. It's insane. So the idea is that we're trying to find new architectures for computers, and what's a better computer than the brain? Across even the animal kingdom, our brains obviously being the apex of what we know, and obviously there is more. Again, even like as it says here, a monkey brain. They basically what they have done is they have got a neural network that's running enough parameters, enough neurons, if you like, that it is the size of a macaque brain, which is quite a feat in neuromorphic computing. And again, it's all in pursuit of creating a better architecture. Right now, a lot of the AI models that you'll be familiar with, their architecture is good. They use things like the GPT architecture, and they're good, but they don't really mimic the human brain very well. They're also deeply inefficient and require huge amounts of computer run. Again, this is after a newer architecture that is more efficient and better at what it does.
Interesting. And I guess this is the first step before they try and try and get the human brain on, I guess.
I mean, this field of research is been going on a while. Has been going on a while as well, and again, it's not the first. I think it mentions it in the article quickly. There is another. I think it's by Google. I will find it. That it's not. This is not the first one, but this is the biggest one. Human brain.
It's crazy stuff. I was just quickly looking. The human brain uses something like 20 watts of energy. So because you touched on the fact that AI models are quite inefficient.
Yes.
So it
AI
goes to
models
show how
currently take a lot more than 20 watts to run.
Well, as we know, they need huge data centers and all the rest of it. So it's when you think of it in those terms, that the human brain uses 20 watts of energy, and how clever and complex it is. And we've got very, I guess, we'll probably look back in 5 years, 10 years, and go how simple these simplistic these first AI models were, and almost look back and laugh at them like we do at old tech. And yet they need so much power and energy. It's fascinating to see how things will turn out.
Here you go. So this is a huge step forward. It's a step forward. It's got 2 billion artificial neurons, and it's more advanced than Intel's neuromorphic computer, which was announced last year, just over a year ago. That had 1.15 billion neurons inside it. And it's a field that's been going on a long time. I mean, this is frontier research all around. However, it's a long way off, being in the hands of consumers or anything like that. But this, it's a very, very interesting field of research.
Well, and the point being is you can see where the direction of travel is going to be, can't you? So it's very interesting. Right, sorry.
So they haven't quite put a monkey's brain per se, but they've got enough synapses, enough neurons now to be approaching the size of a macaque brain. So that's where it's a little bit clickbait. But yeah, very interesting field of research. I won't pretend to know a huge amount about it, but it's definitely a field I'm interested in.
Yeah, no, perfect. Right, well, we're a little bit ahead of schedule. The alarm's about to kick off, so let's move on to the next topic of conversation, which is the next news article was Anthropic cuts off OpenAI's access to its Claude models. This made you chuckle earlier, didn't it? When we were
I was just thinking of it's not brilliant. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's brilliant PR for OpenAI. So a lot of the time, so for those who don't know, the Anthropic models, the Claude models, they're very well known for coding. They're best in class for coding, really, around the world. However, that's not to say OpenAI isn't competing heavily. You have Claude Code, which is Anthropic's agentic coding tool that runs in your terminal, very good. But OpenAI have their own one. They have Codex, so they have a direct competitor to Claude Code. They have direct models for coding, and I just think it's a bit of I don't think it's not a great look for OpenAI, considering they're directly competing. They're meant to be making better models, and yet they're being caught red-handed using Anthropic's models. I think maybe some people brush it off as they're using Anthropic's models to better their own and improve their own, but that's still an admittance of of their technology being inferior.
And that's, in summary, the point is this is a foundational AI company selling products and services, but actually using somebody else's models.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it just goes. I think it's just a bad look for OpenAI, who are trying to be the leading AI and started off as the leading AI company of the world, or at least the one that made the news the most. And they're meant to be making better models, but they're being caught using other people's, and therefore it's just a direct admittance. That obviously. Do we know how that happens? How that was discovered that they were using their models, or? Yes, so obviously, Anthropic will keep detailed logs of. Obviously you don't know exactly how it happened, but Anthropic will keep detailed logs and data analysis. There might be some word of mouth in there of reportedly using, that kind of thing. So they found out somehow. I think this is also great for Anthropic. they're a little bit trigger happy with cutting people off. They also hate OpenAI very clearly, because when OpenAI tried to acquire Windsurf, go back a few months, which is an AI coding IDE, they tried to buy it for $3 billion, I believe. Immediately, Anthropic cut Windsurf off from using their models as well. So they're hyper competitive with competitor labs using their technology. But I think it's actually a really good look for Anthropic too, because it's literally putting out a public statement like this. It's literally like, hey, look, our arguably biggest competitor prefers our models. They're using our models. They're not using their own. Especially because they're talking about the launch of GPT-5, which is long anticipated. It's been a long time coming. We still don't know the launch date. It's one of those things. But the expectation is this is going to be a absolutely groundbreaking model, or it should be a groundbreaking model. And just ahead of that launch, they're not using it. They're still using Anthropic's models. So it looks great. I think it looks great for Anthropic. I'm a fan of Anthropic, so I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, just thought it was funny.
How do you see this arms race between these big companies and the power plays between them? Sort of, how is it going to look in the next 6 months, a year? They're going to be winners and losers. Are we going to see some literally massive companies that have risen from nothing to multi-billion businesses to then suddenly just going? What's going to happen?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of points within there. I think there's a very clear at the moment. So there's a domestic battle internally within America, for example, between companies like Anthropic and OpenAI and Microsoft to build better products. But I think there's an international war. I've mentioned it before, but between China and America. And I really do believe in many, many respects that American companies are currently lagging behind. The Chinese models that are coming out at the moment are incredibly good. They're winning the arms race, in my opinion. And the vast majority of them are open source, open weight as well. They're not even highly monetized.
That's really interesting, because you don't get that vibe. You don't get that vibe when you're listening to media and all the rest of it.
They haven't caught up. They haven't caught up necessarily. I still think Anthropic's models are best in class for coding. OpenAI has obviously got a huge market share. However, they're very, very, from having heard of no Chinese AI companies and no models out of China that you'd know of, to now they've caught up dramatically in quite a short space of time. There you go.
All right, we're going to move on. Will, the alarm is going. Next, that was really interesting, and actually, sort of does lead us on to the next headline.
Yeah, it absolutely does, actually.
Which is basically Apple CEO tells staff AI is ours to grab in hour-long talk. And there was another article which is it's the same thing. Apple's new answers team eyes ChatGPT-like product and AI push. So it looks as though Apple are really starting to get serious. They've got a new team called Answers, which is their AI team, and they're just going to basically try and build out a phenomenal ChatGPT-like product. I wonder if they're going to be using Anthropic's models.
I actually think that this is. I think they've been serious for a long time. However, Apple for some reason keep continually falling short of the AI arms race. They've tried. They had a sort of flunked launch of Apple Intelligence a couple of years ago now. Must be nearly a couple of years ago. And again, what do you know that Apple does? That is industry leading within that. What does Apple Intelligence do? Not many people know. And to be honest with you, there's only a few products. I think this is the latest stint at trying to get ahead in what is a failing race domestically within American companies to be a leader in AI. That's the hot take, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, mate, let's leave it there. There's no point.
Oh, you want? I'll keep talking, but that's absolutely fine.
No, I mean, we'll see, won't we? We'll see what plays out. I think
on that point, a lot of people, Apple, and I think Tim Cook's point, because he's again recently done an open talk on it within Apple as well. Apple were never the first to make the computer. They were never the first to make a smartphone. They've never been the first. However, they've always created. Again, this is a high opinion. as well. They've always been they've always created the best, or at least a world-class competitor bringing their product to the table. And a lot of people that are pro Apple and pro the history of Apple and what they do anyway is say this is exactly the same thing, is that they're not the first to use AI, and they're not rushing into it, but when they do come out with something, it will be world class. However,
I think that's sorry, Will, carry on.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I guess they're not, like you touched on, they're not trying to be the first and try and fix it and break it. They want to release products which are just perfect, and just work seamlessly for the consumer. And like you touched on, that that is their focus more than we want to be the first to release have some sort of gimmicky AI. They're very much product driven, aren't they, and making it an incredible experience for the consumer, and that takes time. I mean, yes, it's to be admired. It is, from some perspectives, it might be quite frustrating because some executives and team members might be going, "Come on, guys, we're losing out here," but they're quite sort of, I guess, stubborn in their approach of we want to do it perfectly as a product, not just as a gimmick for our consumers. And it's having, I guess, that foresight and control to not just go with the crowd and just chase whatever metrics, but just to create products that are truly amazing and integrated. We'll be able to talk to our iPhones or whatever they create next, and it'll all sync and work with each other, won't it? So
100%. I think this time it does feel slightly different. I feel like they have rushed a little bit. They announced Apple Intelligence and didn't ship anything with Apple Intelligence. They just said that it's coming, and they've sort of drip fed some Apple Intelligence features in. Some of them have been good, some of them have been horrific, some of them have been just novelty, just not really serving a greater purpose. And then you
really everything I just said is a load of rubbish.
Well, this time it's not a load of rubbish. It's a weird blend at the moment where I think Apple is in a rush, but they're still also trying to do it quality, because another thing is that they were demoing an overhaul of Siri, which is again long anticipated. However, that has yet to materialize. They did an interview where they talked about that they hadn't done it because they want it to be perfect. So I think there is that philosophy still in there. It's just they're really struggling to compete. Like, it's such a hyper competitive marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's moving so fast. So that was all the news headlines that we saw that we wanted to share with you guys. As for what we're working on, we mentioned in the last show, our notifications are coming along nicely, which is quite exciting for Ava Mind, which means Ava will start that journey to become more responsive and not just reactive, if that makes sense. Where users will be, will be able to say, hey, can you check on, or Ava will be able to ask, can you check on me, every day, every week, or whatever. Can you send me a message? Can you, to check, give me a call on this day, or or it's my this particular day of the year or date in the year is really important to me. Can you just send me a message on this day because it's memorable for me? So yeah, it's quite exciting, isn't it, with that development?
We have that now, so that feature has been released. The very first iteration of that feature has been released. Ava is now able to send you notifications. Obviously, for the more technical, that's nothing groundbreaking. However, we've been setting up a lot of infrastructure in the background to enable that next step, which is for the AI to be able to control it at your request, as you mentioned. So it can schedule notifications to be sent to you. It really starts to tailor that experience. So although we can now send notifications through Ava to you on an automated basis to check in with you, we have a lot of the groundwork in place now for Ava to take over that responsibility. There's going to be a little bit more alignment and work there to ensure that it's done well and it's fluid and it works as well. That's what's important. But we are hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll have a nice meaty update on that one.
Well, on that point, on and we touched on the last show with with regard to the barrier for a lot of people talking to an AI, which is predominantly around, this is weird, I don't feel comfortable talking to this AI. People are used to, people are now used to typing. That's fine. They can ask a question on, ChatGPT or whatever. But that talking part is still, I think, a barrier. Do you think this, when notifications start being created by Ava, and where Ava is directly outreaching to users, do you think that that barrier to entry will become less so? Will it become more natural?
It's a good question. I think it's another bridge, another connection point. As you say, typically people are getting quite used to typing to an AI, but there is that, at least we get a lot of feedback where people use the voice mode, and people that maybe are not so familiar with AI or the use cases at the moment, then they're just not in that space necessarily. Talking to it's a really weird thing. I mean, they don't even know what to say. I mean, you can do things to alleviate that, like encourage conversation. For example, let Ava start the call. Go, hey, how are you feeling? What are you doing today? That kind of thing. That helps because it asks you a question, but it still feels weird. It's uncanny. I think it's like that uncanny valley feeling. I think notifications is another small bridge for that. It's another reach out point. Again, a lot of it is probably just desensitizing people to it. Because, for example, like me talking to Ava, I don't find that weird. I can appreciate where the technology has come, but I don't find it particularly weird. I'm sure you're the case. And again, a lot of people I know within the tech space don't find it odd. They have an appreciation for it more than anything. However, it's how do you desensitize and educate people that are non-technical that would be using something like Ava? How do you get them used to speaking? Notifications is probably another small but necessary piece in that puzzle to encourage you to engage with it, because once you engage with it, it becomes less odd.
It is. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like the more muscle memory you develop with it, the easier it gets, and the more you interact with it.
Just most of the time, so many people haven't experienced anything like it. So, I can understand why it's weird. And I think we just need to be putting, as a company, we need to be putting in not just features that help encourage you and eke you into using it and getting used to it. However, also putting out marketing material and demos and things just to put it in the limelight a little bit more.
For sure. And are there any other sort of things that are on the horizon that you might want to share with the audience, or I've got one which I'll just throw out there right now, which is it's nothing to do with AI. It's just, I think it's going to be a really nice feature, because I think part of the importance of the Ava Mind app is at its heart is AI driven, but there still needs to be, so mental health and wellness app. So so one of the features that I'm looking forward to adding is the sort of sleep tracks and mood tracks that people can listen to, because again, it's about for I think for us it's about trying to make the app not just, oh, this is an AI therapeutic assistant, and being like so out there that it's potentially off-putting for some people, but it's a holistic platform that you don't have to use Ava Mind to talk to Ava if you don't want to, but actually you might find some of the blog articles that you want to either read or listen to really, really interesting, or you want to have just some mindfulness music for when you're doing yoga, or your kids struggling to fall asleep, put some nice sleep ambient music on. So I think that's the thing I'm quite excited about.
Absolutely. I think me too. It's when we started Ava Technologies and then consequently Ava Mind, I think I've been through my own journey with well-being and mental health as well, and my view of it is that it is a holistic thing. I think there's a lot of things you have to do that can make you feel better and feel the best that you can be. For example, exercising and eating well and getting good sleep. And I think a lot of the time, if you're not feeling good, then one of these could be out of balance as well. And they're looking and playing around with the displays. But I think that's the point, is that I don't think always the most appropriate thing is to be taking medication for it. But there's a lot of other things that you could be doing as well. And I think we aim to be a holistic mental health app and well-being app, that helps tackle things like how do you get people into fitness, how do you get people into eating well, how do you get people into sleeping well. And there's a huge roadmap of things that we want to do this with. And I think that AI is going to be a huge bridge to doing this as well.
No, 100%. I think it's I think again what I'm quite excited about, and I know you are too, is those tools and features, sleep trackers or whatever it is, that start using actually AI to be smart about some of the way that a user interacts with the app, or the insights that you can gather. Or if you're working with a therapist, that we've talked about our thesis of connected care, where if you want to share some of your insights and data between therapy sessions, that you'll be able to, and the therapist might be able to sort of share some particular exercises or tasks or things that they want you to do. So I think that's where we see it going, and these are all things that we're working on. So well, I think, should we wrap up there? We're just gone past the 30-minute mark.
I know we've covered a lot today.
Yeah, there's been a lot, so it's been good. So I hope you guys have all really enjoyed it. I hope some of those news articles were quite interesting. We'll jump back on this tomorrow morning, and we'll be doing the same again and trying to sort of identify and share some of the latest news in this crazy world we live in. So for now, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those amazing things. And we'll catch you guys soon.
Thanks for watching.